3,000 people cross the Shibuya Scramble every time the light turns green, moving in every direction at once, and somehow nobody collides. No stoplights in the middle, no traffic cop waving people through, just 14 million people who've collectively figured out how to share one intersection without anyone getting hurt. Above the crossing, Shibuya Scramble Square rises over the station, and near the top, an open-air observation deck offers a full 360-degree view of the skyline, with Mount Fuji occasionally visible on clear days behind the buildings. Down at street level, Center-gai stays packed with ramen counters, arcades, and clothing shops, feeding trends into Japanese youth culture that often surface in other countries a year or two later. A small bronze dog waits near the station exit. Hachiko, still the most famous meeting point in the city, decades after the story that made him famous. The whole area around the station has spent the better part of a decade under construction. Glass towers and elevated walkways stitched together above the train platforms, and by 2026 most of it finally reads as finished rather than in progress. Moving north, Shinjuku Station processes more than 3.5 million passengers a day, a volume that rivals the annual traffic of some international airports funneled through a single building. Kabukicho spreads out from one of its exits, neon stacked 6 stories high, a giant Godzilla head looking down from above a multiplex. And despite the density and the noise, crime rates here stay remarkably low for an entertainment district this size. Tucked behind the main strip, Golden Gai holds roughly 200 tiny bars packed into a few narrow alleys, some run by the same family for 3 generations, a rare surviving pocket of pre-bubble economy, Tokyo squeezed between the high-rises. A short walk away, the twin towers of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building offer free observation decks near the top, and after dark, the building's facade has become a nightly canvas for projection mapping shows. Abstract light, art some evenings, anime tie-ins on others, the whole surface of the tower turned into a screen. East of Shinjuku, Akihabara still carries the nickname Electric Town from its radio and vacuum tube days, though the electronics have long since given way to anime, manga, and gaming culture on a scale found nowhere else on Earth. Multi-story buildings along Chua-dori stack floor after floor with figures, trading cards, and retro consoles, while pop-up exhibitions tied to whatever series is trending that season rotate through storefronts alongside the district's permanent-made cafes and retro arcades. One block off the main strip, the volume drops fast. Quiet specialty shops selling nothing but vintage synthesizers or nothing but model kits, tucked between the louder Main Street stores. A sharp turn south leads to Asakusa, where the Kamen Airman, the Thunder Gate, marks the entrance to Senso-ji, a Buddhist temple with roots stretching back to the year 645. Nakamai's Dori runs from the gate to the temple grounds, lined with the same kind of shops that have sold souvenirs and snacks to travelers along this route for centuries. Ninjio yaki cakes filled with sweet red bean still cooking fresh at several stalls. The main hall and its 5-story pagoda were rebuilt after the wartime bombing of Tokyo destroyed the originals, reconstructed to match exactly what had stood there before. Across the river, the Tokyo Skytree rises past 2,000 feet, one of the tallest structures on the planet, sharing the same skyline as a 7th-century temple complex less than a mile away. West toward the city center, Ginza plays a role similar to Fifth Avenue or the Champs-Élysées, flagship stores from nearly every major luxury brand lining blocks that close to car traffic on weekends and turn into pedestrian-only space. Nearby, the Marunouchi side of Tokyo Station still shows its red brick facade from 1914, one of the few buildings in the city that survived the pre-war era and was later restored to its original form. Around on the Yaesu side, the mood flips entirely. Glass office towers under active construction as part of a major redevelopment, turning that side of the station from a pure transit hub into an actual destination, with new retail, dining, and cultural space folding into the towers as they rise. Old brick on one side, new glass on the other, connected by the same platforms underneath, a pattern that repeats across the whole city, rarely tearing down its history, usually building the future directly alongside it instead. Across the bay, Odaiba spreads out on reclaimed land connected to the mainland by the Rainbow Bridge, a small-scale replica of the Statue of Liberty standing near the waterfront as a nod to Tokyo's sister city ties with Paris. Outside a shopping mall on the island, a 60-foot Gundam statue occasionally powers up and moves for the crowds gathered below, one of the more unexpected landmarks anywhere in the city. Nearby, immersive digital art installations fill entire rooms with shifting, interactive light, among the most extensive projection-based art experiences found anywhere in the world. New for 2026, a massive fountain and light show called the Tokyo Aqua Symphony stretches hundreds of feet across the bay after dark. Water, music, and light combined into a display that's already become one of the most photographed additions to the waterfront. Back on the mainland, Takeshita Street funnels crowds through a single narrow block that functions as the epicenter of Japanese street fashion. Crepe stands and cosmetic shops, and clothing racks in every color packed shoulder to shoulder on weekends. The legendary Kawaii Monster Cafe, closed for several years, has returned to the same street in a bigger form. A full indoor amusement park built around the same maximalist, candy-colored aesthetic that made the original a landmark. One block over, Omotesando runs wide and tree-lined. Architect designed flagship stores from global fashion houses lining an avenue sometimes called the Champs-Élysées of Japan. Turn off either main road onto a residential side street, and the volume drops almost immediately. Quiet houses, small cafes, potted plants outside doorways, the part of the city that rarely makes it onto camera but carries much of its actual character. Farther northeast, Yanaka survived both the 1923 earthquake and the wartime bombings largely intact, a low-rise neighborhood with no skyscrapers and no neon. Cats sunning themselves on windowsills, shopkeepers running the same storefronts their families have held for decades. A new cafe and art gallery recently opened here inside a wooden building designed by a local architecture studio specifically to blend into the old streetscape rather than stand apart from it. A path through Yanaka Cemetery cuts past more than 100,000 graves and doubles as one of the best cherry blossom spots in the city, largely unknown outside it. For every glass tower rising in Shibuya or Yaesu, a street like this one stays barely touched, standing close to how it looked 2 generations ago. As evening settles in, Tokyo Tower still holds its place as the city's defining silhouette, even though the Skytree long ago took the title of tallest structure. Built in 1958, its orange and white lattice frame lights up against the night sky in a way that's remained the shorthand image of the city for over half a century. From an elevated vantage point, the tower itself, Shibuya Sky, or the free deck atop the Metropolitan Government Building. The scale of the place becomes obvious. 14 million people within the city proper, closer to 37 million across the wider metropolitan area, making it by most counts the largest urban region on the planet. And yet walking through it block by block, temple to tower, alley to avenue, none of it feels overwhelming. It feels considered, every inch built by people who thought carefully about what it would feel like to stand there. Ancient temples sit blocks from 1,000-foot towers, quiet cat-filled backstreets sit minutes from the busiest crossing on Earth, and new landmarks keep breaking ground year after year without erasing the old ones underneath them. That layering, old next to new, loud next to quiet, centuries next to construction cranes, is what keeps pulling people back to this particular city, on a screen or in person, again and again.